We are just days away from 007 First Light. Let's look back and rank a series that has heavily influenced the Bond game. Here's Hitman from worst to best. At last place we have Hitman Contracts. This was a really weird Hitman. It's halfway to a slasher or a horror game, at least in terms of tone. It's dark but not in the way Absolution is dark. Other than that, it is very similar to Silent Assassin, which is a much better game. Locations in Contracts aren't memorable except for maybe 2 at most. With each Hitman, the clunkiness went away little by little, but the jump between Silent Assassin and Contracts is small, very small in fact, compared to Hitman Codename, the original Hitman, and Silent Assassin. Contracts was very much like a typical stealth game. You sneak around, eliminate your target and move on. There aren't any big open areas to explore and plot your move. No creative ways to do the job, which is what Hitman is all about. You remove that, all you have is a very clunky bald man with a barcode on his head. This game feels like a fever dream, and spoiler alert, it kind of is. Going back to this after playing the recent trilogy, which is goofy, off the charts, is a strange experience. If you want a darker Hitman, go for this or Absolution, because this came after Silent Assassin, gameplay is solid. Next up, we have the original Hitman Codename, a diamond in the rough. Like seriously in the rough. This is one of the jankiest games you will ever play. Even 2 decades ago, it was very obvious, but this is classic Hitman. The mission in Hong Kong, the first time I played it, I felt like I had a whole city to run around and plan my assassination. Even the dreaded Colombia mission is fun. This is a game from 2000, a few more months and it would have been a game from a different millennium. It does feel that way, but it has the same DNA that even a Hitman 3 has, a game that came out 21 years later. The reason Codename is down at the bottom is not because it's a bad game, even Contracts isn't bad by any means, but Silent Assassin is Codename but 10 times better everywhere. Gameplay, locations, graphics, the jankiness was reduced by at least 50%, but without Codename we wouldn't have got all these amazing games that I will go over in this video, and for that I am very grateful. Next we have a modern Hitman. The first game in the modern trilogy looked like a return to form and at the same time was very frustrating. Releasing missions in episodic fashion is just dumb. Even shows releasing episodes in episodic fashion is dumb. If maps are well made, players will replay. Hitman 3 has proved that for well over 4 years now. Playing the first Hitman now is like beta testing Hitman 3. The World of Assassination trilogy is Hitman 3 with every map in the trilogy. That's great news for Hitman 3, but it isn't gonna increase replayability of the original. These 3 games are basically the same gameplay wise with a few tweaks. The improvement is in the level design, mission stories and the assassinations themselves. So I am gonna judge them on their maps a lot more. Hitman 2016 has 2 really good maps, but the rest are forgettable for me. This is a game that's built on replayability. It is replayable, but Hitman 2 and 3 are definitely way more replayable. Which brings us to the next entry, Hitman 2. This was a big improvement over the first one. Starting from the first mission, I was hooked. I think the secret to a good Hitman game is calling it Hitman 2. But seriously, this is one banger map after the next. Mission stories are improved, but there is room for improvement. For example, I was in spitting distance to my target and the mission story wanted me to leave him be and go all the way across the map. Gameplay was more of the same, but this felt more like classic Hitman in how you approach missions. You had even more freedom. The Italy map in the first game was really good and Hitman 2 has more maps like that. Locations are immersive. This was the true return to form. Big maps, lots of freedom in how you want to approach missions. You don't need to rely on mission stories to have fun, which was the case with Hitman 3, but that game had absolutely amazing mission stories. But here, there's a good balance of classic stealth and crazy assassinations. Up next, probably the most controversial take on this list, Hitman Absolution. Considered widely the worst Hitman game, this is a one of a kind, which sounds cool, but the reason it's one of a kind is the game was received so badly they went back to big open maps. But Absolution is very underrated. It was the first Hitman where gameplay was actually smooth. You had a cover system, gunplay was pretty good, missions were linear, yeah, but they were great all throughout. 20 missions, some were linear of course. At times it felt like Max Payne with stealth. Assassinations are very hands-on. You don't have a lot of creative ways to finish the job. But for what it was, the game was great. Agent 47 looks like an absolute villain. For the first time he actually moves well. The story was given more attention. It was a more personal story. I remember the plot and the characters here more than any Hitman. The game had a very adult dark tone which I loved. There were also some action set pieces like Uncharted. All in all, if they had called this game anything other than Hitman, maybe call it 007 First Light, I feel it would have worked. Next we have maybe the most beloved Hitman, Hitman Blood Money. This game was revolutionary. There were so many gameplay elements added, assassinations from the top, holding enemies as human shields. How can I forget the ability to throw coins? Gameplay was polished. For a Hitman game, it was very good. Agent 47 moves almost like a human being. But if you go back now, it's not the smoothest game. Silent Assassin was the first game to have big open areas with novel ways to finish the job. Blood Money improved on that. In a lot of ways, it is Silent Assassin's true sequel. Locations aren't as exotic, but they are built beautifully. Replaying missions was actually an enjoyable thing for the first time. Accidental kills that have become a Hitman trademark started off here. This one change took the franchise on a completely different path. It was a regular stealth game which got turned into one of the most replayable series of all time. Next we have Hitman 3 at number 2. This is not just one game, it's basically a game that's been improved, worked on for basically 10 years, before and after release. The recent trilogy all feel the same, especially Hitman 2 and 3, which works in the favor of the last game. It basically had 2 full-price games as beta testing. Hitman 3 has some of my favorite maps ever. The Knives Out mission, the one in China, the Berlin one. This feels like classic Hitman. It's stunning by the way, and each map is stunning in its own way. Maps have character. In the recent trilogy, some of these locations just feel like playgrounds, like they exist just for you. They aren't intense. In fact, they are goofy at times. But Hitman 3 takes itself more seriously while still being classic Hitman silly. But it's not just funny assassinations anymore. NPCs had realistic routines, motives, motivations, all of which can be used by Agent 47. The attention to detail. This is basically a mini open world game, which is what the number 1 game on this list felt like. Mission stories are perfect if you find them yourself, or it turns into a checklist, which is annoying. Which gets me to how big and long this game feels. This is only about a 12-hour game, but doesn't feel like it at all. Even without replaying, if you're taking it all in, it's gonna take 20 hours minimum. Maps have been crafted with so much detail, there's so much to see, even if it doesn't have anything to do with actual assassinations. Which gets us to the one negative. These games have gone from all kinds of stealth to mainly social stealth. If you just sneak in without engaging in any mission story nonsense and get the job done, it feels wrong almost. Whereas in the older games, finishing missions without changing disguises was an achievement. And of course, you also had social stealth as well, which gets us to the best Hitman, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. Some games have 1 or 2 iconic locations, and then there's Silent Assassin where every location is iconic. I could name all the locations in order by memory, and I haven't played the game in forever. This is a 2002 game by the way. In the second mission, you are infiltrating a mansion. I can't put into words how excited I get even now when I see that cutscene of Agent 47 scouting. Because as soon as the cutscene is over, you can do anything you want, follow any path, put on any disguise, pick any approach. Now it doesn't feel like a lot, but for a game from 2002 to do that with not just one map but 10 is seriously insane. This was such a huge improvement over Codename. Codename had the potential, but it was clunky and not polished in the slightest. Silent Assassin is so good, they basically made no big changes to gameplay other than tossing coins till Absolution, which came out a whole decade later. As I said, I love the earlier games' more hands-on approach. I love creative assassinations, but I also love sneaking around trying not to be spotted. And most of all, I love the option to do either. Blood Money had an even better balance of all different kinds of stealth, but maps, Silent Assassin is the best. While gameplay does feel dated, Hitman is just walking around most of the time, so the early 2000s gameplay design doesn't really get in the way that much. For that reason, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin is still the best Hitman. Well, that was my list. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Click the video on screen to see which Hitman 007 First Light is more like. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching and have a great day wherever you are.